This is Sports Drive.
Welcome back into Sports Drive. Once again, I'm your host, Preston Moore. We lost Adam Cummings, unfortunately had some technical difficulties. Texted him, he said he appreciated coming on the show, but unfortunately with those technical difficulties, when you run a show on Zoom, that's just kind of the thing. The nature of the show, sometimes that happens, people lose connection, but always appreciate him coming on. Obviously a phenomenal high school football coach, won Coach of the Year at the Texas Panhandle Sports Hall of Fame most recently, and we're excited for West Plains' upcoming season. Joining me now is Peter Solomon from the Sod Poodles. Peter, how are you doing today?
Doing great. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. Now, you are a pitcher on the Sod Poodles. I should have mentioned that earlier, but we appreciate you coming on. And this upcoming season, or this upcoming series here with the Tulsa Drillers, is a really important one, I think, to set the tone for the second half of the season. Would you agree? And how do you feel with the team in the clubhouse right now?
Absolutely a big series. They're a great team. They got a lot of talent over there, but so do we in this clubhouse. I think guys over here are really starting to find their stride and getting the groove of things here in the season. And yeah, we're looking up to put up a strong second half here and set the tone here early with a good series against Tulsa.
Absolutely. Now, you've pitched in the majors this season, if I'm not mistaken. Tell us a little bit about that experience.
Yeah, it was a good experience. This is my first year being in the Diamondbacks organization. It's been a little bit of an up and down year for me, being for a starter and reliever and whatnot, but happy to have the opportunity to start again and be here. But yeah, it's always great to be a part of a great team like the Diamondbacks. Obviously, they're having a fantastic season this year and have great talent up there across the board. So it's always nice when you get to be a part of something special like that.
It definitely is. And, you know, the nature of minor league baseball, people getting called up, sent down, you know, left and right. You never know what tomorrow is going to look like. It's something that I've talked with a lot. Tell me a little bit. I want to know, how do you, develop your routine? You've been doing this for a couple of years. How do you develop your routine of making sure that you can stay consistent when you really don't have, when there is so much uncertainty, with the nature of the game?
Yeah, that's a gret question. It's definitely difficult. It's a constant change that you're dealing with, whether it be where you're at, time of day you're playing. Games are always different. Who your teammates are. For me as a pitcher, who's catching you, and you just you try to remember the things that you're good at, what makes you good, and what helps you stay there and stay consistent with those things. And you try to have 4 or 5 things that you can do every day that gets you feeling the same and gets you in the same mental spot to be able to go out there and compete and be able to have your best performance and show really what kind of talent you have.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one thing that has been really impressive about the Sod Poodles, especially most recently, is the offense. I spoke with general manager and president of the Sod Poodles just earlier in the show, Tony Ensor, and we talked about how the Sod Poodles are currently leading all of AA in runs scored right now. As a pitcher, tell me a little bit about what that's like from your experience, obviously practicing with these guys and being on the other end of that.
Well, it makes our job easier. That's for sure. It's always easier pitching when you have a lead or you have run support, and those guys going out there putting up runs consistently and putting the pressure on the other team helps the pitchers in a lot of ways. Just being able to be more aggressive and attack the zone, and just kind of pitch on that more aggressive side than worry about losing the game, giving up 1 or 2 runs. Having that run support really allows you to showcase your best stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, I want to talk briefly about your experience in Amarillo because, you mentioned it's your first year in the Diamondbacks organization. Tell me a little bit about what it is, because I guess let me reword this. The way that it works, in minor league baseball, we talked about it's always uncertain. You never know where you're going to be next. You're playing in different places all the time. You're playing with different players all the time, and on your end with different catchers all the time. So tell me a little bit about how playing in Amarillo has compared to all of the other places that you've played.
Yeah, so this is actually going to be my first series here in Amarillo, and I've heard nothing but great things. Last week I played in Corpus, but this will be my first game in series in Amarillo. I've heard awesome things. The stadium's really nice, locker room is great, and I've heard that, get great crowds all the time. whatnot. So I'm really excited to hear. I've heard nothing but the positive things about Amarillo and the kind of crowds and atmosphere that this place produces night in and night out.
Well, we're really glad that you're here. We're glad that you've had that positive experience so far. I do want to ask, this is something that I've talked with pitchers on the show before about is, pitching at Hodgetown, the way the winds are here in Amarillo sometimes will change the way that the game goes for pitchers and hitters. It's something that multiple pitchers and hitters have said on this show before, just the way that Amarillo is, the windiest city in the country statistically. How do you think that affects your game? You mentioned you haven't played in Amarillo yet, but practicing here, how do you think it affects the game?
It definitely affects the game. I've pitched the last couple of years in the PCL, the Pacific Coast League, and there's a lot of places at high altitude and that are windy as well. So a lot of balls that may not be home runs at other places end up becoming home runs. And it's the nature of the game. Each team knows it. You can either take it to your advantage or have it, be a detriment to the game for your team. But you really try not to think about it too much. It's something that's really out of your control, and try not to let it affect the game plan too much. If a hitter, hits a fly ball to left field, it has a decent chance of going out, but you want strikeouts, you want ground balls anyway. So it doesn't really change your plan of attack or how you pitch. You just really hope that you can execute good pitches and not have that, come into effect.
Right, absolutely. Well, coming up is the 4th of July. Obviously, Sod Poodles won't be here in Amarillo, but you guys will be playing on the 4th of July, and we'll have 4th of July celebrations all throughout the weekend, custom jerseys made, all that kind of stuff. To me, the 4th of July has always felt a little bit more like a baseball holiday in a way. You think of Thanksgiving, I kind of relate it to football in my brain, and then, Christmas Day, I like the NBA on Christmas Day, so I think of basketball. 4th of July, to me, feels very much like a baseball holiday, America's pastime, being that it is Independence Day. Do you have any memories tied to 4th of July in your baseball playing career that you think about, or what sort of emotions does this day bring about for you as a baseball player?
Yeah, I think for as long as I can remember, I've played baseball on 4th of July from when I started playing when I was younger, and even I have an older brother who played baseball as well. So I think 4th of July for me is extremely tied to baseball. There'd be tournaments when I'm little and hanging out with teams and doing cookouts or being at the beach. Today, then evolving to like my professional life and always playing on 4th of July. I think it's great. I think what you said is dead on, that 4th of July and baseball are very intertwined, and some other holidays are tied to other sports. But, we're the only sport going on right now. And I think, a lot of people really enjoy coming to a baseball game, seeing fireworks, having that experience on the 4th of July. I was lucky enough 2 years ago, I was with the Astros, and I got called up right before 4th of July. So I spent 4th of July in Cleveland. So that was pretty special for me. That's one that stands out, of having a 4th of July in Cleveland in the big leagues. And that was awesome. But baseball and 4th of July go hand in hand. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that everyone here in Amarillo is excited for the 4th of July, all the festivities, this upcoming series against the Drillers, obviously. Very important on the field as well in terms of setting the tone for the second half of the season. Peter, thank you once again for joining. Always appreciate having you guys on the show, giving your insight. We really appreciate talking to you.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Of course. We'll be right back with more Sports Drive right after the break. Stick around.